Russia conducted an intercontinental ballistic missile test that appeared to have failed while President Joe Biden was in Ukraine, according to two U.S. officials familiar with the matter. One official said Russia had notified the United States in advance about the launch via conflict avoidance lines as part of its New START treaty obligations, adding that such tests are routine. Another official said tests did not pose a risk to United States and that United States did not see test as an anomaly or an escalation. It has been successfully tested before, and if it worked, U.S. officials believe Russian President Vladimir Putin would have highlighted the test in his State of the Nation speech on Tuesday. Instead, Putin did not mention the launch in his 1 hour and 45-minute speech. However, he has formally declared that Russia will suspend his country's participation in New START nuclear weapons reduction treaty with United States, jeopardizing last remaining agreement governing world's two largest nuclear arsenals. CNN initially reported that, based on information from sources, the apparent test occurred while Biden was in Ukraine. After this story was first published, one of officials said the test was done just before Biden arrived in country. The second source told CNN that the test is on Monday, without providing a more precise timing. In a later update, the source said that the test was actually done on Saturday. The timing of test shows that US and Russia communicated through several different channels earlier this week to resolve conflict. US officials also informed Russians that President would visit on Sunday night, hours before Biden's visit to Kiev. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said on Monday he was in the Ukrainian capital. On Wednesday, the Kremlin declined to comment when asked about these reports in a conference call with journalists. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said the matter was the prerogative of the Ministry of Defense. CNN reached out to the Russian embassy in Washington and the Russian Ministry of Defense for comment. Putin announced successful ICBM tests in the past, including last April, just months after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. This test was also for the Sarmat missile, first introduced in 2016 and said by Russian state media to have a range in excess of 11,000 kilometers. The missile can carry a warhead weighing 100 tons and is designed as a successor to the R-36M Voevoda ICBM. This image, released by Russian Ministry of Defense on Wednesday, April 20, 2022, shows first launch of new Sarmat superheavy, land-based intercontinental ballistic missile from a silo at Plesetsk State Test Cosmodrome in Arkhangelsk Region. Russian Ministry of Defense. Putin warned last year that the missile would make those who try to threaten Russia think. At time, Western experts described 2022 test a nuclear sword swing, perceived as an attempt to distract attention from military failures at time. Such sinking of Russia's flagship Moskva in Black Sea. John Kirby, Pentagon press secretary at the time, described 2022 test as routine, and this came as no surprise. It was not seen as a threat to the United States or its allies. Several senior U.S. officials said, the Russian military suffered multiple major defeats on the battlefield in Ukraine last year and has generally failed in its strategic objectives there. Russia is now a global outcast and the world continues to be inspired by Ukraine's courage and resilience. In short, Russia lost. They lost strategically, operationally and tactically, General Mark Milley, Chief of Staff, said last week. Yet Putin seems unwilling to rethink his war, which he still insists is a special military operation. Last week, Russian warplanes and Urs flew near Alaska twice in a few days, forcing NORAD to scramble the warplanes in response. The Russian aircraft remained outside U.S. and Canadian sovereign airspace, which extended 12 miles from the coastline. but flew within or near Alaska's Air Defense Identification Zone, which was 200 miles from the coastline. Two NORAD F-16s intercepted two 95ers and Su-35 warplanes that entered Addis last Monday. A day later, NORAD F-35s intercepted two 95ers, as well as Su-30 and Su-35 warplanes. We stand ready to use a range of response options to defend North American and Arctic sovereignty, NORAD said in a statement. NORAD emphasized that Russia does not view its flights as provocative or threatening, and it has not evaluated the air objects seen around Alaska and Canada recently. Fix. This story has been updated to better reflect the timing of the apparently failed intercontinental ballistic missile test.